Got a chance to see the new Sweeney biopic, Christy? Let's talk about it right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I'm the host, Frank Zenka. I am an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, we're going to talk about Christy, but I want to give a little quick housekeeping thing first. I am going to be moving. I got along very well with my landlord before, because when I moved here just a couple of years ago from LA to Atlanta, so I didn't want to buy anything just yet, and I'm still not ready to buy anything because of the fact that everything is so in flux on the front of film and television. So I'm just literally grabbing little productions as I can, but there's nothing here that's sticking. So I don't want to buy a house just yet. So I'm still renting, and although I'm renting quite a big difference between here in LA for sure. So I'm renting a house here where I was renting an apartment in LA. But I got along really well with my landlord, and he sold the house to a couple from New York, and I knew I was screwed there, and they decided to raise my rent up $300 a month. So when my lease became renewed. So yeah, so I'm like, okay, I'll pay it, but I'm out of here. And I just found a 3-bedroom for less than they jacked my rent up for here, plus a garage, so I can get rid of. I'm paying like $400 a month for storage units right now because I have all the books. Since I'm a writer, all my inventory for my books. I have all the inventory for my board game, all that stuff. It's all in storage units, and I'll now have a garage. I'll be able to put all stuff in there. I'll be saving hundreds of dollars. So I am going to be moving next week. I take possession of the house on the 15th, so I might be going dark is what the reason I was bringing all this up is I might be going dark. But anyway, let's jump in. I'm still going to be doing my shorts, though. If you're watching some of my short reviews, I'm still going to be doing that because I only need my phone. I don't know how quickly I'll get my computer and everything else all up. So but let's jump into Christy real quick. So I wanted to see this. I am a fan of Sydney Sweeney. I think she's extremely talented. I know everybody talks about her physical talents, but I think she has a huge range in her acting, and she's a very, very smart. And this is what I respect more than anything. She's a very, very smart producer, and how I came to that conclusion is the movie Immaculate that she produced. It was a horror film. At the same time that the first Omen, I think it was called, came out, and they were exactly the same film, except that one was impregnated with Jesus and the other was impregnated with the devil. That's really the only difference, because they were both about Americans that came to, I believe it was Italy or one other country, to be a nun. And, I mean, other than that, everything was exactly the same, except that the first Omen just blew money for whatever reason. I could see where they blew the money. It was totally unneeded. So their budget ended up ballooning to like $30 million, of which they would, I think the movie either just squeaked by or lost money. But meanwhile, the same film, Sydney Sweeney produced for $7 million and made money. So for that, I will always support anything she does, because I think that she's very, very talented in multifaceted ways, and I don't mean anything sexual by that in any way. I'm talking about business. So when I saw that she was doing this, I did not get a chance to see Americana. I really wanted to see Americana, but it was out of the theaters like that, and so this one I wanted to make sure I did not lose it, because there's 2 other films I still want to see yet. I got to see 3 this weekend, but I didn't see Sarah's Oil yet or Nuremberg, and those are 2 movies I still want to see. But anyway, so I rushed out to see this to make sure I didn't miss it, because Americana just came out on DVD too, so I'm going to make sure to see that. But anyway, this is the true life story of a female boxer. This is the second female boxer story that I saw in as many years. I forgot the name of the last one, from the girl from Star. That movie was very good too, but the last third of it they decided to make a statement about the fact that women could not get sponsorships. So the last third of that movie was about her not being able to get sponsorships or something like that. And they should have really ended it after, they could have just told that in like a paragraph. There was no reason to go into, because she was like an Olympic boxer, where this one was more of a Vegas type boxer, which I guess they have females boxing things that like open up. It was almost like a concert opener for the male boxers. But I think that's kind of how they did those kind of things, because the boxing matches are generally quick, where you can't do that for like basketball or anything like that, but you can do that for boxing. And she made a huge name for herself at a very young age. She was in boxing for a couple of decades, like it was like 25 years. And she started out, and I want to tell everybody up front, because if anybody says, well, it's woke or whatever, and I guess if you want to look at it that way, it is, because she's actually a lesbian, right? So she starts out as a lesbian, but then her lesbian lover, and of course she grew up in West Virginia as a coal miner's daughter, and that's what her name was, or her recognition, her identity as being a boxer. She was the coal miner's daughter, and that was dubbed by Don King, but we'll get into that in a second also. But anyway, once her girlfriend ended up finding a man when she was on the road, she ended up with her trainer, who was also her manager. So we get the same kind of trope that, the manager ends up being bad. And we see that in almost every of these films, where, the guy on top ends up being the bad guy by the end. So it's the same kind of trope. And that's in the trailer as well, where the guy's kind of becomes abusive, but he was many years older than her. I think he was like at least 30 years older than her. And he was played by Ben Foster. And I kept looking at this guy and looking at this guy and looking at this guy going, I know this guy from somewhere. Where do I know him from? And once I saw that it was Ben Foster, I'm like, oh my God, he's unrecognizable. He gained a lot of weight, I guess, soon for the role, because he has some stuff coming up. He's going to have to play Evel Knievel. I know he has to lose a shit ton of weight for that. So if he did gain the weight for this, he has to immediately lose it. So it's kind of like Christian Bale, where he was able to go in and out of weight whenever he needed to. But the best thing I know him from is 3:10 from Yuma. I love that thing. He was also in Hell or High Water. He also played Angel in the X-Men series. The guy has a huge, huge career, and he's an exceptional actor. Exceptional. So more power to him to be able to, change everything about himself. But anyway, they end up getting married, and he becomes very possessive. He was always possessive, but then he starts becoming abusive. And he always tells her, look, if you try to leave me, I will kill you. And that becomes, of course, more important later on if you know her true life story. Anyway, before we continue, remember, give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you can. If you can, subscribe, please do. Ring that bell, ding, ding. And if you can, share this video out there, it'd be appreciated as well. I thank everybody for watching my shorts as well. Also, check out my books on Amazon. And you'll see my 4-novel sci-fi quadrilogy epic extravaganza called Destiny Aurora. So if you like Star Wars, Star Trek, Guardians of the Galaxy, all that stuff, you're going to love Destiny Aurora. It was made into a board game, which I was telling you about. Graphic novel, and it was also on Audible. It's also on RPG as well, but it's also on Audible, so if you'd like to listen to it, there's multiple voices in there. And I'm trying to do the same thing for my fantasy novel right now, Tales of Ravenor the Iron Witch. I'm trying to do multiple voices in there right now. I'm going to have to hire somebody to do the levels, because the levels are all over the place in what we've done so far. But I'm probably going to try to launch that on Kickstarter, so look for that. So if you like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, all that stuff, you're going to love that one. And then Fairy Tales of Terror, my new graphic novel, which we did very well on Kickstarter. We have Psycho Cinderella, we have Killer Captain Hook, And we also have Tiger Lily running around New York City trying to stop them from reigniting magic in our world, and it's lots of fun and gory and blood everywhere. It's awesome. I'm getting some of the colors back right now for the final pages from issue 1 because I'm going to fulfill that as quickly as I possibly can. All right, let's jump back into Christy. So this movie was about 2 hours long, and it literally goes from the beginning of her life all the way to the end. To the beginning right before her career. So it spans the full 25, 30 years of her life, to the point where we have a tragedy at the end, and of course where she is now today, where she has a boxing promotion company. But we also have her parents. Really, the mother is the only one I kind of recognize. She was from Godless, and her mother is an awful, awful, awful person. So this is directed by and written by David Michaud. I have not seen anything that he's ever done, so I can't give you anything. But he's done a few things, but most of what, if you get to the bottom of his IMDb, it's all shorts and stuff like that. And the other writers are Myra Folks, who is mostly an actress. She writes and she acts, but she's done a few things, mostly in television. And then Catherine Fugit, who I think did Army Wives. I think she is the person behind Army Wives. But, I'm not sure if this was Sydney Sweeney's production company that did this. But if it was, then it would make sense because, again, I don't know. I have to find that out. But I know she likes to do female empowerment type of movies. The problem was that this was a $30 million film shot in North Carolina. I'm all for, of course, shooting in the United States. I just went to a get-together of film professionals the other day, and everybody is saying that nobody's working. So it's pretty amazing how everybody, it's out of the country. Everything is out of the country. So when I see something from North Carolina, I give it the cheer, Now, does North Carolina have a 30% rebate? I do not know. But let's assume that it does. That means that at absolute best, this was a $20 million film. At best. Even with the rebate. It's made like $1.5 million. Every biopic that's come out recently has lost money. Every single one outside of Truth and Treason. And that's the only reason that movie has done anything, has been a little closer to breaking even, is that, Angel Studios, they don't spend any money on marketing. And on top of that, it only cost $2.5 million to make. Where if this was 25, let's even say 25 million to make, there's no way this thing's breaking even. And the Springsteen movie, the same thing. That thing's going to lose money too. And it's just like, what are people thinking? Now, unless this was a passion project, which is very possible, that they, just people just giving money in because they believed in the project and things to that effect. Because I have somebody right now that's really itching to get my World War II biopic done because she really thinks it's a story worth telling. And that may be the case here, where they just wanted to tell the story, whether they were going to make money or not. And I definitely appreciate that. I'm kind of in the same boat. I made a promise to Diane when I wrote that book for her that we would make it into a movie someday. Of course, she's passed now, so that she'll never see it. But also, Katie O'Brien makes an appearance here in just a few scenes. But she is from Love Lies Bleeding. And if you haven't seen that one, she's also from The Mandalorian, Ant-Man and the Wasp. And she always plays little teeny tiny roles. Oh, I forgot that she was also Mission Impossible. So she always plays like these little teeny roles, but all these big, these big IPs, but she only plays little tiny roles where nobody remembers her. But here, I thought she did a good job. Once she appeared there, I was like, oh, good. She's got it. I think she's pretty good, too. I think she's pretty talented, too. So the more appearances she makes, the better off she is. But going back to the mom, boy, her mom was just like an awful, awful person. But all the other men that were around her treated her like a little sister kind of thing. And I appreciated all that as well. So it is a 2-hour movie. It does span the whole production of her life, but I was never bored with it. However, I only had 3 people in my theater. 3. And they were the most awful people ever. I didn't go complain this time because I just didn't feel like it. But when I walked in, before the movie even started, the guy I was started out in the bottom row and I moved up 1 row. But he was snoring, and then he slept through the whole movie. He snored through the whole movie. Then I didn't buy tickets in the middle because there was another 2 seats that were taken. But when I got there, those seats were still empty, so that's why I moved up. But 20-something minutes into the movie, these 2 women, they had to be like late 50s, early 60s, came into the movie theater, noisy as hell, had this paper bag that they put down. Thankfully, they put it next to me, but they made so much noise it was crazy. They were on their phones continuously, but thankfully that bag blocked me. And then they literally leaned forward. I'm like, what are you doing? And then they talked through the whole thing as if they were in their living room. I was pretty upset with them, but I'm just didn't care. But the worst 3 people you could ever see a movie with. And they weren't young. On their phone talking like a freaking couple of teenagers. Just annoying. But anyway, I highly recommend this film. Again, it's a biopic about a boxer, so there's really nothing new here. But I think that Sydney Sweeney knocks it out of the park in her performance. Personally, I think this is an Oscar-worthy performance where she had to run the full gambit of emotions. She changes the color of her hair. She actually has black hair at the beginning and only gets blonde hair towards the very end. And she looks completely different. I mean, she doesn't even look hot at all. At all. She looks like very girl next door, and I don't know if they changed her body at all, but because she looked a little chunky at times. But I think that I don't know if she changed her body on purpose, but even her shoulders looked bigger. So I don't know. I'm not sure what they did. Maybe I don't think they did that in CG or whatever. I don't know I really don't know how they did it. Or I didn't see any like shoulder pads or anything on her. But I don't think in real life she doesn't look like she has huge shoulders, but it had to be something in the costume or whatever else they did. But kudos to them. Kudos to the entire cast. The guy who plays Mannheim I think it was in Superman and Lois. His name is Chad Coleman. He plays Don King. Perfect. I mean, he did a great job. I mean, he was so over the top. He was great. He was really, really great. So that goes to show you that even a small role is very, very memorable if the actor can pull it. But boy, was he good. And because the husband kept saying, yeah, I know Don King. And then when they finally actually see Don King, he's like, hi, I met you before. He's like, nope. He's like, well, there's a lot of people. Nope. He's like, I remember everybody, and I don't remember you, buddy. And then she actually ends up fighting Muhammad Ali's daughter. And that chick was a monster, man. I mean, she was huge. So, really, really good stuff. But again, I'm not a big boxing guy myself. I'm not even a big sports guy myself. But I can appreciate a Rocky type of movie. And that's what you kind of get here for the most part. But it does take a twist at the end that, totally changes her life. But anyway, definitely check it out. If you can support this film, definitely do so. All right, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Remember to check out my stuff on Amazon. Check out Fairy Tales of Terror. And I'll let you guys know when I'm going black and when I'm going to be back from my move. And also, wait for Fairy Tales of Terror, my audiobook, to come out on that one. Not Fairy Tales of Terror, Tales of Rapidor. Sorry. All right, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.